We are testing these three popular braided fishing lines against this knot braid. This knot braid is thermally fused fishing line. So let's see how these stack up. Braid versus knot braid. The fishing bead color code will be orange, green, blue, and the fire line will not have any fishing beads. One bead will represent the first round, same with 2 for the second and 3 for the third, and no beads will be for the fire line. Here we go in round 1 with the hammer braid by Cast King. Okay, the 20-pound hammer braid broke at 14.7 pounds of pull force tension. Let's go on to the Berkeley in round 1. This time we're testing the Berkeley X9. All right, the Berkeley X9 broke at 18.3 pounds of pull force tension. Let's go on to the reaction tackle. Okay, here we go with the reaction tackle represented by the blue fishing bead. The reaction tackle broke at 22.8 pounds of pull force tension in the first round. Now let's try the fire line. Okay, the last test in round 1 is the fire line, which is not braid, it's thermally fused fishing line. Let's see what happens and how it stacks up against these popular braided fishing lines. Okay, the fire line broke at 27.7 pounds of pull force tension. Let's go on to round 2. Okay, we're in the second round now, and you'll see 2 fishing beads on all the rigs, except for the last one. The fire line has no fishing beads. So the orange fishing bead represents the hammer braid. Let's see what happens. Okay, the Cast King hammer braid broke at 15.8 pounds in the second round. 15.8. Okay, here we go with the Berkeley X9. All right, the Berkeley X9 broke at 18.2 pounds of pull force tension. Let's set up the reaction tackle in the second round. It's going to be the blue fishing beads. Zero that gauge out. All right, here we go with the reaction tackle in the second round. 2 fishing beads. All right, the reaction tackle broke at 19.2 pounds of pull force tension. Let's set up the fire line, or what we're calling in this video, the knot braid. All right, here we go in the second round with the fire line. All right, the fire line broke at 28.6 pounds of pull force tension. Let's move to round 3. Okay, we're in round 3, as you can see here. And if you're just joining us, orange, green, blue, and the fire line has no fishing beads. The 3 fishing beads represent the third round. So here we go with the Cast King hammer braid. All right, the Cast King broke at 11.8 pounds of pull force tension in the third round. Let's set up the Berkeley X9. Orange, green. Green is up next for the Berkeley. Okay, here we go with the Berkeley in the third round. Okay, the Berkeley X9 broke at 18.8 pounds of pull force tension. 18.8. All right, let's set up the reaction tackle. All right, let's see how this reaction tackle does here. Reaction tackle, 20.9 pounds of pull force tension. All right, here's the final test before we go on to the abrasion testing. And remember, we're taking all these numbers down and we're going to go over all these numbers to see exactly what's happening in this braid versus not braid battle. Here we go with the fire line in round 3. Okay, we got 24.4 pounds of pull force tension with the fire line. 24.4. Let's do some abrasion testing now. I'm going to lose him. He's going to wrap around the pole. There he goes. It's going to break. Look at that, baby.
Dude, it's huge.
Now we're going to test the abrasion resistance between these 3 popular braided fishing lines and this not braid fishing line. This is thermally fused fishing line, Berkeley fire line. As always, we go orange, green, blue. And then the fire line will have no fishing beads. Down and up is one cycle. Here we go with the Cast King hammer braid first. 1. One cycle. Next in round 1, we're going with the Berkeley X9. 1. That just fell apart. Not even 1 on that. Still in round 1 with the reaction tackle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 cycles with the reaction tackle in round 1. Now we're going with the thermally fused fire line in round 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 cycles. Now we're moving to round 2. Once again, orange fishing bead represents the Cast King. That just falls apart, not even 1. Berkeley X9. Falls apart. Now we're going with the reaction tackle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 cycles there. Now let's go with the fire line. 1, 2. 1, 2. 2 cycles in round 2. Now we're going to round 3 with the Cast King hammer braid. Falls apart on real structure. It says rip rock. This is the kind of structure you're going to find around bridges, piers, docks. That's on the Berkeley X9. 1. Now the reaction tackle. 1, 2, 3. 3 cycles on that. And finally the fire line in round 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 cycles, it's pretty consistent. Now we're going to measure the diameter of each line. Looks like the diameter of the Cast King braided fishing line is 0.08 of an inch. 0.008. Okay, next we're going to look at the Berkeley X9, and the label says this should be about 0.07 of an inch. So we're going to make sure our caliber verniers are still zeroed out, and just take a quick measurement of that. There we go, right on 7. 0.07 of an inch. So for the Berkeley, we're going to write 0.007. Okay, we're going to go to the reaction tackle now. So we're going to take a measurement on that. That's right on 0.07 of an inch. 0.07 of an inch on the reaction tackle. Now we're going to look at the fire line. Now the label says this is 0.12 of an inch. So we're still zeroed out on the caliber verniers. And let's see how that measures up. Got 11.5 there, 11.5. So we're going to write 11.5 on that. All right, let's go over the results and see how all this works out. Okay, before we look at the test results, I just want to go over a couple things on some of these labels here. Cast King hammer braid mentions microfilament diamond braid. So when you hear diamond, you think really, really strong. The micro just means small. They're small filaments. And the diamond braid, the diamond just means the shapes of these materials they use to make this. So even though that sounds real strong, you're going to see the results tell you something different. Now with the Berkeley X9, you can see the 9 means there's actually 9 strands compared to most braids have 8 strands. You see the 8 here? This is 9 strands. Once again, when you see the results, you're going to see that that extra strand really didn't do much. I only have one small negative thing to say about Reaction Tackle. First, it's a great product. The more I test it, the more I like it. So the only bad thing I have to say, and it's not really bad, I didn't see the thickness of the fishing line on here. Now with the fire line, a lot of people mistake this for braid, but this is thermally fused line. So it's heated and pressed together. It's not braided together like a traditional braid. For the Cast King hammer braid, we tested it 3 times on the tensile strength, and the average was 14.1 pounds of pull force tension the line broke at. This is rated at 20 pounds. That's not so great. The Berkeley X9 with the extra strand, that did a little better. Here you can see the 3 tests averaged out to 18.4 pounds of pull force tension. But the 3 tests averaged out to an 18.4 pounds of tensile strength. And once again, even though it had fairly good results, it didn't meet the 20-pound test label rating. So both of these fell short so far. The three tests of the reaction tackle on the tensile strength averaged out to be 20.9. So 20.9, it met the label's rating and exceeded it. 20-pound fishing line, the average was 20.9. So that's a plus for reaction tackle. Now for the fire line, in this video we called it the not braid because it is not braided line. It's thermally fused and pressed together. The three tests averaged out to be 26.9 pounds of tensile strength. So that exceeded the 20-pound rating on the label. Now for the abrasion test on the Cast King, we did three tests on abrasion and it averaged out to be a 0.3. So it didn't even average out to one cycle, it was below one cycle. And that's not acceptable in my book. I understand you tie leader to the end of braid, but this braid still can hit something and you don't want it snapping that easy. I like to see at least 2 or 3 cycles on any braid, even if you're adding leader. The Berkley X9 did slightly better. It averaged out to 0.6, so that was below one cycle when you average the three tests together on the abrasion testing. Once again, we should get a couple cycles on this because sometimes your main line will hit something in the water and you don't want it snapping that easy. Got to be a little more abrasion resistant. All 3 times the reaction tackle went 3 cycles, and for an average of 3 cycles. Now 3 cycles is very good. You still might want to add leader, but if this main line hits something, it's not going to snap as easy as the other 2. Now for the fire line. That also averaged out at 3 cycles. Now for the diameter, for the Cast King, it measured at 8 and it's labeled at 8 thousandths, so that was good. The Berkley X9 was labeled at 7 thousandths of an inch and it measured 7 thousandths of an inch. The reaction tackle fishing line measured 7 thousandths of an inch, but I didn't see that stated on the label anymore. So reaction tackle guys, great company. You might want to check that out. Now for the fire line, the label stated it was 12 thousandths of an inch and it measured slightly under at 0.0115. Now for the cost comparison, the Cast King costs about 11 cents per yard for fishing line. The Berkley costs about 12 cents per yard for the fishing line. Now check this out. Even though this fishing line did better than these others, the reaction tackle only cost about 5 cents per yard. This fishing line costs about 16 cents per yard. Now let's queue up the next video so you can keep learning about fishing line.